The photo hit me harder than a punch. No warning, no wind-up. Just a casual scroll on a quiet Saturday morning, still in my robe, watering the Dan lawn like every other weekend for the last 27 years. The sun was barely up. The coffee machine was still hissing behind me. For a moment, everything was normal, routine, safe. Then my phone buzzed. It was Alice. Well, not directly. A Facebook post. A photo. She was in Dallas at a sales conference. Supposedly in the picture, her and Bryce, the golden retriever of her office, all teeth and zero spine. He had one arm wrapped around her shoulder, the other holding 2 drinks. Her head was tilted toward him like they were posing for an engagement shoot, her hand on his chest. The caption, "My real partner." #WorkHusbandForLife, to hearts. 57 likes, 16 comments, all nauseating. Love you too. Office goals. Finally, just say it already. Faced with tears of joy. I stared at it. The first time I reread it, I actually laughed. That kind of dry, breathless laugh that dies in your throat halfway through, like your body knows better than to waste the oxygen. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I walked into the house, poured myself the rest of the coffee, opened the kitchen drawer, and pulled out the beige folder I'd prepped 3 weeks ago. Not in anticipation. No, I still had some dignity back then. But after overhearing her giggle on speakerphone with Bryce late one night in the guest bathroom, whispering something about, "If only you weren't married," I started keeping receipts. Emotional ones at first, then legal ones. The folder had everything ready. Petition, disclosures, property division sheet. My lawyer called it clean and aggressive. I slid it across the table like a dealer throwing down the final card. Then I opened Facebook. Her post was still up. Of course it was. I typed, "Congratulations. The divorce papers are on the kitchen table." Posted. Logged out, went outside and resumed watering the grass. The sprinkler hissed like nothing had changed. But the moment tasted different, like burnt coffee and pennies. And hey, if you're reading this and you're one of the 98% watching without hitting subscribe, maybe do it. It keeps the crew motivated to drop more of this cold, slow burn justice. Thanks. Back inside, I could hear the silence breathing. It was already starting. She called that night like clockwork, just as I knew she would. Probably after one of her friends texted, "Huh? Alice, check your Facebook." Her voice was too cheerful. That plastic, fake, upbeat tone she uses when she's trying to sound innocent, but knows the gun's already smoking. "Hey, babe." She dragged the word out like syrup. "I saw your little comment. You're not actually mad, are you? It was a joke. Everyone at the office does that. You know, it's like a running thing. Work husband, work wife. Just for laughs." I didn't interrupt. Let her do her little dance. Let her fill the silence with nervous giggles and justifications. It's amazing how much rope people will give you when they don't realize they're hanging themselves. "You seriously took it the wrong way." She kept going. "It's just Bryce. You know how he is. He's harmless." "God, you're being dramatic." When she finally paused to inhale, I said 3 words. "Check the kitchen." Dead silence for 2 seconds, then laughter. "Oh my God, you're joking. You're joking, right? You didn't actually." I didn't reply. She kept laughing, but now it was thinner with a waver behind it. "You're such a dork sometimes." She tried. "Seriously, this is overreacting. It's a dumb caption. I didn't mean anything by it." "Sure. Just like she didn't mean anything when I overheard her call Bryce at 11:37 p.m. on a Tuesday 3 weeks ago, whispering from the laundry room like a teenager sneaking a call. "You look so good today, in that gray shirt." Stop it. I was blushing all through that meeting. Imagine if we didn't have to sneak around. Yeah, real jokey stuff. That was the night I called Marcus, my lawyer, set things in motion. Told him we weren't quite at the iceberg yet, but I could see it on the radar. He told me, start gathering quietly. Emails, finance records, insurance forms. When it hits, move fast. Don't engage. So now I wasn't engaging. I was executing. Alice thought it was a bluff. She always assumed my silence meant passivity, that the absence of yelling meant surrender. But no. Some people prepare in silence, and when they strike, it's already done. I ended the call by saying, "Take care, Alice." Plick. I imagined her staring at the kitchen table, blinking at the beige folder, the legal seal, the absence of anything resembling a warning. Just the facts, just like her caption. Monday, 9:14 a.m. I was logged into my burner Gmail account, the one I used for Amazon returns and the occasional Craigslist purchase back when we still had shared passwords. I took one last look at the screenshot before attaching it. Alice draped over Bryce, that ridiculous "my real partner" caption shining like a neon confession. My comment just below it like the final nail. Subject line, inappropriate conduct. You decide. Attached, screenshot of the Facebook post. Metadata showing it was posted during the Dallas conference. A brief 2-time sentence message. Not sure what your internal policies are, but this photo appears to have been taken during company time at a company-sponsored event and seems to involve an employee in a supervisory role making public claims about a romantic relationship with a subordinate. I'll leave the interpretation to you. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. I hit send, then closed the laptop. No fanfare, no evil grin, just the mechanical click of a plan shifting into gear. Now, to be clear, I didn't expect a reply. Corporate HR is slower than molasses, unless there's legal fire under their feet. But Alice had mentioned more than once, usually while sipping wine and bragging about her flawless compliance record, that her company had a zero-tolerance policy on interoffice relationships that weren't disclosed, especially if there was a power dynamic. And Bryce, freshly promoted, she trained him last year. She was on the damn promotion panel. Even better, the company had just rolled out a new branding campaign. Integrity, excellence, respect. So when you publicly declare your real partner is the guy you're supposedly supervising, and you do it while clinking champagne glasses on a trip they paid for, you're not just breaking rules. You're handing your head to HR on a sterling silver platter, and she didn't even realize it. I went outside again, trimmed the hedges. The birds didn't care. The neighbor waved. Normal morning. But something was already shifting in the background, that quiet, bureaucratic rumble you only hear if you're the one who pulled the pin. By noon, her Facebook post was gone. By 3 p.m., I got a text from Dawn. He just said, "Bro, HR just opened a case." Boom. That night, while she was likely crafting some limp apology in her hotel room, or worse, still thinking this was just some overreaction, I sat down with a legal pad, a glass of scotch, and a checklist I'd been curating since the laundry room phone call. Item 1. Transfer my 401k into a separate living trust. Already initiated. Marcus had walked me through it over a lunch that felt more like a war briefing than a consultation. The trust is airtight. No marital claims, no loopholes. She wouldn't touch a dime. Item 2. Changed the beneficiary on my life insurance. Used to be Alice. Now it's my sister Elaine. She's practical, no nonsense, and already raised 2 kids on her own. She won't cry when the paperwork comes. She'll just sign, file, and move on. Item 3. Bank accounts. We used to have join everything. Her idea. I called it romantic socialism. No, different passwords, different institutions, different zip codes. I left just enough in the joint account to keep the lights on for the next 30 days. Utilities, mortgage, and one final Hulu charge she'll no doubt notice and text me about. Let her wonder why it suddenly doesn't log in. Item 4. Credit cards. 2 were in my name with her as an authorized user. Not anymore. 1 call, done. She'll try to swipe at the airport bar on her return flight and get hit with a cheerful decline. While I was reshuffling the entire financial skeleton of our marriage, she sent a text. Just 3 words. Can we talk? I stared at it for a second, then muted the thread. She still thought this was fixable. That maybe with the right tears, the right tone, she could roll this back into one of those awkward misunderstandings we laugh about in therapy. That we'd sit on the porch, talk it out, maybe cry a little, then hug it out like sitcom characters. But this wasn't a sitcom. This was chess, and by the time she finished saying pawn, I had already moved the queen and changed the bourne. Her insurance canceled, access to my car account gone, gym membership already separated. It wasn't spite, it was architecture. Every form I signed, every account I updated, it was the sound of structure being pulled out from under her, 1 bolt at a time. The best part? She didn't even know yet. She still thought, "I'm sorry," was going to be the cure-all. Let her believe that the longer she stayed in that bubble, the sharper the pop would be. Dawn called just after lunch. I was in the garage reorganizing a drawer that hadn't been touched since Obama was in office. Old screwdrivers, half-dead batteries, an unopened pack of weather stripping. The kind of task you do when your mind is still processing the fact that your marriage died via hashtag. "Hey man," he said, voice low like he was calling from inside a confession booth. I knew the tone. It was the one people use when they're about to confirm something you already suspect but secretly hope you're wrong about. She didn't just flirt with him, bro. He said they were acting like a damn couple down there. I leaned against the workbench, said nothing, let him unload. They were inseparable. Same hotel room key, same breakfast table, same goddamn seat on the shuttle bus. I didn't want to assume the worst, but come on. Everyone saw it. I asked the only question I needed an answer to. Does her boss know? Don paused. He does now. Word got back to him this morning. He looked like someone told him his stock portfolio died. Said he had no idea she was sleeping with someone she evaluates. His words, not mine. There it was, the missing puzzle piece. Not just cheating, not just public humiliation, professional betrayal. Alice didn't just trash our marriage. She dropped a flaming bag of liability at her company's front door and rang the bell. Don continued. She's got a formal HR meeting scheduled for tomorrow, but they already flagged the post. They pulled it from a company device, which makes it even worse. And I mean, your comment, dude. It's already circulating. I chuckled. First time in days. We hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone pinged. Dawn again. Check this screenshot. Her work email inbox. Dawn had access to internal systems. Too many years in it. Top message subject, HR compliance inquiry, urgent from corporate ethics team. Date 12:03 p.m. It began with the usual cold language. We've become aware of recent content shared online that may constitute a breach of professional standards during a company-sponsored event. Translation: We're coming for your badge. She hadn't even landed back home yet. By the time she got off that plane, she wouldn't just be coming back to a new reality. She'd be stepping into the wreckage of two. And the best part? I didn't lift a finger, just told the truth and let her actions do the screaming. She got back a day early. I knew she would. People only delay coming home when there's comfort waiting. When it's dread on the other end, they show up early, hoping proximity will fix what time can't. I was on the porch when the Uber pulled up. She stepped out wearing those ridiculous oversized sunglasses that screamed celebrity and crisis, dragging her carry-on like it owed her money. Her phone was in one hand, already mid-sentence. I just think we should talk in personnel. She froze halfway up the walk. The front door didn't open. She tried the key again, jiggled the lock, knocked once, then twice, like that would help. I stayed seated, sipped from a glass of water with lemon casually like I was watching the weather change. "He's been changed," I said flatly. "What? Are you serious right now?" she hissed, eyes darting toward the neighbor's windows. "You changed the locks?" "No," I said, standing. "I changed the life." She opened her mouth, probably to launch into some half-baked performance about forgiveness and miscommunication. But I was already walking past her to my truck. I paused just long enough to say, "Guest room's open, paperwork's on the bed. Everything's detailed." She stormed in through the side gate, dragging her suitcase like a soldier returning to a battlefield she didn't expect to lose. I watched through the truck mirror as she entered the guest house, already yanking open doors, probably expecting to see her clothes hanging in the walk-in. She didn't find them. Main bedroom, cleaned out, her stuff boxed, labeled, and moved to the guest room closet. Her favorite throw blanket, the one she used to hog every night, gone. I donated it. Not out of spite, just sanitation. On the guest bed, centered with quiet precision, sat the beige folder again. But this time it wasn't just a petition. This time it was a spreadsheet. One column my assets, second column hers. Third final division calculated, signed, notarized, and in the corner just below the signature line, already signed. It wasn't just a legal document. It was a map of everything she no longer had. She didn't scream, not right away. She just stood there frozen, staring at the paper, hands trembling, mouth slightly open like her brain was trying to reboot, but the software didn't match the hardware anymore. The house she left 4 days ago didn't exist anymore. This one? This was mine. Every drawer, every code, every locked door, every memory scrubbed and resorted. She came home expecting a fight, maybe even a cry fest. What she got was logistics, and logistics don't love you back. Tuesday morning, she dressed like it was any other presentation day. Cream blouse, navy slacks, subtle heels, the necklace I bought her for our 20th anniversary. Probably an accident, or maybe some subconscious plea for stability. She left without breakfast. No word to me. Not that I expected one. Just the faint sound of the guest room door clicking shut and the wheels of her carry-on bumping down the porch steps. She thought she was heading into a planning meeting. Something about onboarding a new regional client. That's what the calendar invite said. Strategic Growth Alignment. 9:30 a.m., Conference Room B. Neatly vague, disarmingly corporate. She arrived 5 minutes early, as always. Clipboard, pen, her usual tight smile. Walked in expecting coffee, a projector, maybe a warm-up question from her boss. Instead, she saw 3 chairs, one already occupied by her department head, Franklin, stiff and pale. One by HR, Carla, face unreadable. The third by a woman she didn't recognize. in a tailored black blazer, holding a closed folder. Alice hesitated at the threshold. "Am I early?" Carla just gestured toward the empty seat. "Please sit." She sat, crossed her legs, smoothed her skirt, that brittle smile still plastered on. Then the folder opened. On top, a printed screenshot of her Facebook post. Below it, time-stamped messages between her and Bryce. Further down, high-resolution photos taken during the Dallas conference. 2 of them clearly off-site, one at the rooftop bar, another one inside what was unmistakably a hotel room, both in company attire, both time-stamped during working hours. Franklin cleared his throat. "Alice, we've reviewed some material that was brought to our attention." Her mouth opened slightly, a breath. That moment when the heart starts beating in the ears. "This was a private joke," she whispered. "Bryce and I, we were just close friends." The legal rep tilted her head. "No messages suggest otherwise. And under the company's code of conduct, any romantic relationship with a subordinate must be formally disclosed, especially when supervisory dynamics are involved." Alice looked at Franklin. "You knew we were close. We worked well together." "I didn't know you were sleeping with him," he snapped, voice cracking under the tension. "And I didn't know you were doing it on a company trip we expensed." Her face drained of color. Her hands clutched at the arms of the chair like the room was tilting. Carla's tone was clinical. "This meeting is part of an internal compliance review until it concludes. Your access will be suspended and your duties reassigned." Then the question came, a whisper. "Are you terminating me?" The attorney didn't answer right away, just stacked the documents neatly and slid them back into the folder. "For now, we're conducting a full review of the incident. You'll be contacted with next steps." Alice didn't move, didn't argue, didn't cry. She just sat there, silent, still. The look of someone who finally realized the joke wasn't funny anymore. By noon, her name disappeared from the company directory. Dawn messaged me again, just one word: locked. Her work email disabled. Laptop access revoked. Building keycard deactivated. The system moved fast once HR sank its teeth in. Alice had spent years climbing that ladder, polishing her reputation like a silver trophy. But all it took was one caption, one drunken night with a subordinate, and a husband who knew where to aim. She didn't drive home. She raced. Dawn said she left the building white as chalk, stormed straight to her car, didn't say goodbye to a single person, didn't even look back at the reception desk where she once liked to pause and compliment someone's earrings, play the part of beloved senior manager. Now she was radioactive. Everyone saw her go, and not one person moved. I heard the tires in the driveway before I saw her, the crunch of gravel, the slam of a door. Then she was inside the house, shouting from the hallway. "Really? You're going to just ruin my career like that?" I stayed seated in the den, flipping through a gardening catalog like she wasn't even there. She walked in, eyes wild, voice pitching up. "I had one mistake, one stupid thing, and you go nuclear." You know what they're doing to me now? You think this is fair? I tapped my phone calmly and played the pre-recorded message I'd made an hour earlier. It was short, precise. "Please direct all communication through counsel. I will not be responding personally. Any further attempts to initiate contact will be documented." Her jaw dropped. For a second, I thought she'd laugh again, but her face just crumpled. "You recorded a message. No answer." She tried again. "So, this is it. You're really just going to what? Ice me out of my own life?" Still nothing. She stood in the doorway, fists balled at her sides, trembling with the rage of someone who's used to controlling the room and realizing it's no longer hers. "You think you're so smart," she hissed. "Well, you've made your point. Congratulations, you win." Then she turned to leave, muttering under her breath. As she passed the hall table, she noticed a pile of mail. On top, a plain white envelope from HR addressed to her at home. Overnight, time-stamped, marked confidential. She didn't open it, didn't need to. Everything was already slipping through her fingers, and for the first time, she knew there was no one left to pull her back, no supervisor to cover, no assistant to reschedule, no husband to defend her, just the slow, sinking silence of consequences, and one very quiet house that didn't belong to her anymore. The courtroom was too cold, too bright, and way too quiet. Alice sat across from me at the polished oak table, shoulders tight, lips pressed into a flat line. Her lawyer, some overconfident junior partner from a boutique firm downtown, flipped through his binder like he was searching for magic that wasn't there. My side, calm, organized. Marcus brought 2 folders, a legal pad, and a coffee. That was it. We didn't need theatrics. We had documentation. The judge entered, took her seat, and glanced at the stack of papers we'd submitted in advance. One eyebrow arched as she read through the summary packet Marcus had titled plainly, "Timeline of Marital Breach and Asset Contribution." Alice's lawyer cleared his throat and began his opening remarks with all the charm of a man who just realized he was walking into a buzzsaw. "Your Honor, we believe this matter can be resolved amicably." The judge interrupted. "The respondent's conduct appears to be the primary source of this dissolution. Is that accurate?" Alice's attorney hesitated. "We would argue that emotional factors." The judge turned to Marcus. "We have sworn statements from her company's HR department," Marcus said evenly, sliding the folder forward, "including a termination letter citing ethics violations related to a romantic relationship with a subordinate during a corporate-sponsored event." Alice didn't even flinch. She was past denial now. This wasn't the stage for excuses. This was public reckoning, and her reputation was center stage. The judge reviewed the folder, nodded slowly, then turned to the financial exhibits. Our forensic accountant had laid it out clean. Home equity, 92% from my income. Retirement contributions, all mine. Car payments, in my name. She never even set up autopay. Joint savings, mostly withdrawals from her end. Spa trips, hotel upgrades. Alice's lawyer tried to pivot. She was a contributing partner in the emotional labor of the marriage. The judge held up a hand. "This isn't therapy. This is asset division, and the documentation provided shows a clear disparity in financial input." Then came the line, "cold surgical." The respondent's conduct contributed directly to the dissolution. As such, the petitioner's request will be granted in full. Alice blinked. That was it. The gavel never even hit the wood. Just a nod, a shuffle of papers, and then the summary. "I keep the house. I retain full ownership of the vehicle. 70% of the remaining assets stay in my name. No alimony, no discussion." Her lawyer turned to her, whispered something. She didn't respond. Her hands stayed folded on the table, perfectly still, like maybe if she didn't move, none of this would be real. But it was, and every pair of eyes in that courtroom, court clerk, bailiff, even the assistant by the printer knew exactly what had just happened. She didn't just lose a husband. She lost the illusion that she was untouchable, and she'd never been in control. She sat at the kitchen counter, hunched over her laptop, refreshing her inbox like a gambler pulling a slot machine lever for the 100th time. Refresh. Nothing. Refresh. Spam mail. Refresh. There it was. Subject line regarding your return. Cinder James R. Callahan, CEO. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. For a moment, she didn't click. Maybe some small corner of her still hoped it would be a welcome back or let's discuss next steps. Maybe they'd offer her a quiet demotion, let her fade out with dignity. But hope has a funny way of dying fast when it's artificial. She clicked. Alice, after thorough internal review and in light of the public visibility of your conduct during the Dallas conference, including statements made online and corroborated witness accounts, it is the conclusion of our executive leadership and HR division that your continued employment poses a reputational risk to the company. Effective immediately, your position is deemed no longer tenable. We appreciate your past contributions. We wish you the best. James R. Callahan, CEO. No signature. No apology. No transition plan. Just corporate execution delivered in 11-point Calibri. Her hand trembled over the trackpad. She reread it. Then again her mouth opened, but no words came, just the sound, low, ragged, rising from her throat. She screamed, not a cry, not a sob, a full primal shriek that echoed through the empty hallway and slammed off the walls like a bat in a box. I didn't flinch. I was in the den, heard it clearly, but I just closed my laptop, shut it gently, took a breath, then stood, grabbed my gardening gloves from the hook, and stepped out the back door into the sun. The air was still. The roses had bloomed early this year. The grass was soft underfoot, and for the first time in a very, very long time, there was silence, not absence, not loss, just peace. A peace she'd never understand.